Hi guys, Ghost Puppa here. So this week as promised, I'm going to showcase a deck list that I came up with back when Libromancers released as potential support for different ritual builds. I've always had a really soft spot for the Dogmatika, the branded cards, which you know I play very competitively, but the Dogmatika cards got power crept out a bit with the release of the Despian decks. So when that happened, I still wanted to find a way to play them, and when Libromancers released, I instantly saw a path. I was super excited, and I just had to build a deck that could showcase both powers. The result is a deck that is super consistent and actually can do pretty well even at local events in the TCG, of course with a few cards swapped, but nonetheless. So to start with, we have 3 Max C, we have 3 Diviner of Herald, we have 3 Libromancer Geek Boy, we have Dogmatika Ecclesia, the Virtuous, we have 2 Libromancer Fire, 1 Libromancer Agent, 1 Dogmatika Fleur-de-Lis, the Knighted, 1 Dogmatika Maximus, 1 White Relic of Dogmatika, 1 Cyber Angel Benten, 1 Libromancer Doombroker, 1 Libromancer Fireburst, and 1 Dogmatika Alba Zoa. Moving on to the spells, we have 2 Preparation of Rites, Signet Mining, 2 Nadir Servants. They're getting ready to take this to 3. I will test with 3, but 2 is fine. I mean, you can get plenty of stuff on there, and the reason it's fine is because in Master Duel, Max C is allowed at 3. Otherwise, I would say drop Max C to 2 and add another Nadir. But moving on, I have 3 Libromancer First Appearance, 1 Dogmatic Calamity. This is your Dogmatika ritual spell that you will be recycling and using over and over. We have Libromancer Realized, Dogmatika Matrix, wonderful extender for Dogmatika decks, 2 Emergency Teleports, 2 Called by the Graves, 2 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Dogmatika Punishment, and 1 Libromancer Intervention. Into the extra deck, we don't utilize every card in the extra deck, so it sort of has a dual purpose. 1 is to get a few negates on field, and 2 is for send effects using our Diviner of the Herald. So, and also Dogmatika tricks and some of our other Dogmatika cards. But we have 2 Intis, which Intis, if it's sent to the grave, it pops a card on field. Garura, if it's sent to grave, you draw a card. Titaniclad, sent to grave, you special summon or add to hand a Dogmatika monster. We have Quintet Magician, which is a placeholder for now. It's basically just an extra deck card to send to get out Dogmatika Alba Zoa. Eventually, this will be replaced with the new Despian Lulu Lilith, which is a wonderful synchro, level 12, that has a graveyard effect. So that will be replaced when that card releases in Master Duel. We have 2 Herald of Arclight. This is our searcher for any ritual or any ritual spell. So, phenomenal card to set up our board. Cyframe Lord Omega. This is just to go ahead and get our recycle running. It allows us to put Dogmatic Calamity back in the deck or any Libromancers as we need to rebuild our boards. Baronne de Fleur is our easy access omni-negate because all it takes is Diviner of the Herald sending Intis or Herald to make it a level 6. Synchro summoning with Libromancer Fire, which is a level 4, to make an easy Baronne de Fleur. Then we have Lingariba, which uses the level 4 or lower Cybers, so we can also use Libromancer Fire to go into that, which will give us a trap card negate. IP Masquerena usually comes out as well to break their board by kaijuing it away for Underworld Goddess during their turn. Cyber Sheet just lets you extend a little further. Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians, is some recursion, which then immediately leads into Access Code Togger. I wouldn't say it's just the most competitive deck in the world, but this deck can really hold its own, and you can easily play this in Diamond rank. As a control deck, just remember that this deck prefers to go first. You can go second, but it really suffers playing into boards, so going first will make your life a lot easier. But anyways, now that you guys have seen the deck list, let's take a look at some of the combos. Playing a Libromancer deck is pretty straightforward, but you do have to be wise of your combos because while Dogmatika and Libromancer mesh together, Dogmatika prevents summons from the extra deck, so we need to make sure we finish with the extra deck before we move into the Dogmatika side of the combos. So in this case, we're going first, so I'm going to start the combo with Emergency Teleport, since I did not draw any rituals. We will special summon Geek Boy from the deck. We will trigger Geek Boy's effect to search the field spell. The field spell, when you activate it, allows you to search a Libromancer monster from deck to hand. So here we still don't have access to the field spell, or to a ritual rather, and we absolutely have to have access to a ritual to continue. I have 2 level 3s, and I don't really have a whole lot to extend, so in a bricky scenario like this, your best option is going to be to extend into Doombroker as such. So we'll go ahead and do that, using the 1 in hand and the 1 on field. We will activate Doombroker's effect to search Intervention. Intervention is essentially an omni-negate, so we definitely want to set that, and we will set Call By, and we'll go ahead and pass our turn. This is about the weakest board that you can put forth, and it's only going to happen if you really suffer on starting hand. That said, the Libromancer trap is an omni-negate, so it's not bad to sit on that with Max C and Called By. Okay, in this situation they didn't draw anything that could deal with my card, so we'll go ahead and move forward. I don't have anything further I can extend into the Libromancer line, so we're going to go ahead and go into Dogmatika off the get-go. So I will trigger Ecclesia. I will search to hand Dogmatika Tricks. We will activate Dogmatika Matrix. We will add to hand Alba Zoa. And we will add to hand, in this case, Fleur de Lis, because that's just another summon negate a monster effect. Now we will ritual summon Alba Zoa using Dogmatic Calamity. Remember, in case they do have any interactions, I still have intervention set. Once Alba Zoa enters the field, Alba Zoa has an extremely powerful effect. His effect forces them to rip cards out of their extra deck or hand at a rate of 1 card for every 2 cards present in the extra deck. So it's going to rip a massive amount out of their extra deck. If you do this against, say, Branded or Tearlaments, odds are, many cases, they're just going to scoop on the spot. It's a very, very powerful ritual card. Okay, in this case, we can go ahead and extend further, so I'm going to do Dogmatic Tricks. I will send a card from my extra deck to grave. So we will send, I can send Intis to pop some back row. I can send Arclight to search for other rituals, which I don't have anything to extend with currently. Or I can send Omega to recycle Dogmatic Calamity. Right now, I don't really need access to Dogmatic Calamity, so I'm going to send Intis to try to deal with some of that back row. As expected, it is a troublesome card, and in this case, it tributes 1 zombie to pop 2 cards on my field. This is definitely a mandatory negate, so I'm going to have to use my omni-negate trap. When activated, the cost is that it bounces my Libromancer ritual back to hand, but then it special summons a Libromancer from hand or graveyard to the field. In this case, I'm going to special summon Libromancer Geek Boy, and since he's special summoned, I will get a search as soon as this chain ends. So we will activate his effect, searching a Libromancer spell from deck to hand. I can get the field spell to search out another Libromancer monster to extend further, but in this case I want to resummon Doombroker, so the best option is to get the continuous spell that can create a tribute fodder for the ritual. I'm going to activate Realized. Libromancer Realized will actually look at a Libromancer ritual in hand, and it will copy the level of that into a token. That way I can tribute that token as a direct material needed for the ritual summon to get my Dogmatika ritual right back on the field. Only limitation is that you can't special summon anything else until that token is used, but that's completely fine. This token also meets the requirements of having a monster on field to trigger Libromancer's secondary effects, so a win all the way around. So here, they are going to special summon this card as an effect monster. I'm going to go ahead and max C just to get that +1 draw. But this may save them for one more turn. Okay, main phase 2. We're going to go ahead and activate Preparation of Rites. So Preparation of Rites will let me add a card from deck to hand. In this case, I'm going to add Fireburst. And then it will let me add from graveyard to hand Dogmatic Calamity. This is one of the other reasons I run Prep of Rites. So I either can use Prep of Rites to get Dogmatic Calamity back from grave to hand, or alternatively, I can send Omega. So I have multiple ways to recycle this card, which means it only needs to be run as a one-of. So we'll add that to hand. I can, in this case, go ahead and ritual summon into Fireburst, but Fireburst is more of a finisher than something to sit on, so we're not going to worry about it. We'll go ahead and pass our turn here. We have Called by Set, we have Fleur-de-Lis in hand, and of course we have Called by the Grave, which right here we will activate and shut down this combo. We drew another appearance, so now the following turn we have even more power, but we're going to go ahead and Alba Zoa, rip some more. We are playing it in Shadal, so some of their fusions do have grave send effects. I will then go ahead and activate Realized, showing Fireburst, and I'll show you why Fireburst is a finisher. So Fireburst has a very powerful effect, which is if you use a card on field to summon, any battle damage it deals is doubled. So you can actually make some very, very powerful finishers just by going into it. Right now, we will go ahead and send Arclight, trigger Arclight's effect, adding White Relic of Dogmatika to hand. Then I'm going to activate Dogmatic Calamity to summon White Relic, and we're going to send Ecclesia. And I will show you why this is so powerful. So, White Relic has two abilities. One, it can target two face-up monsters on the field and make one monster gain a copy of the other's attack. So in this case, I'm going to give Fireburst a copy of 4,000 attack from Alba Zoa, making him 6,800 attack. Secondly, level 8 or higher Dogmatika monsters I control cannot be destroyed by battle. So this means Alba Zoa can't be destroyed by battle, and Fleur-de-Lis can't be destroyed by battle. Also, it does have the secondary ability, which is if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck, I can look at their extra deck and send a monster from it to the grave. So Dogmatikas are all about ripping down your opponent's extra deck piece by piece, getting stronger and stronger as they go. So we're going to activate White Relic's effect. We're going to target Fireburst and target Alba Zoa, and we're going to give those attack points to Fireburst. Then at this point, we're going to enter battle phase, and when Fireburst attacks directly, it doubles that damage, dealing a hefty 13,600 attack. I try to have this deck filled with plenty of searchers, that way I can get access to rituals or to the normal monsters as easily as possible, really. But they're going first this turn, so I have to wait for that. I do run Imperm, so I have some interaction during their turn, but there's no need to Imperm a Shadal. So we'll pass to my turn. We drew another Imperm. I'm going to activate First Appearance, and I will add from deck to hand a card. So here I can either A, add to hand, say, Geek Boy, and get some extra options to summon. And if I do so, then I'll have to use Dogmatika tricks to add the rituals, to get the rituals going. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll add Geek Boy to hand. Then I'm going to activate Dogmatika tricks. We will add to hand Alba Zoa in this case. And it adds another card because they have cards summoned on the field, so we will go ahead and add our Dogmatika Calamity. Or I can go ahead and bring Dogmatika Ecclesia. So Dogmatika Ecclesia, if it's special summon, I can add a Dogmatika card from deck to hand, which would include Dogmatika Calamity. So I'm going to go ahead and do Ecclesia just so I have some extra ways to push through and get as much damage as possible in the field. Okay, we have a ritual. Libromancers trigger off any ritual, not just the Libromancer rituals, so we will go ahead and start that effect combination. So Geek Boy, Alba Zoa, summon Geek Boy. Geek Boy effect, search Realized to hand. Activate Realized. Fire, activate effect. Look at Alba Zoa. Special summon Fire. Fire trigger effect, search to hand. In this case, I can go for, say, Doombroker or Fireburst. We are going second, so we're going to try to get as much damage as possible, so we will go Fireburst. Now, we have the opportunity to go ahead and start summoning into some of these. I can, in this case, go ahead and get some of our other extensions out, so I'm going to go ahead and summon Cross Sheep using those two. We summon Cross Sheep to the field. I'm going to activate Libromancer Realized, looking at Fireburst, and then I will summon a Fire token. I do not have access to Baronne right now, so we are going to go ahead and trigger Cross Sheep's effect by summoning Fireburst using the token. This will allow me to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, so we'll do that. Okay, in this case we drew Max C, and we drew Emergency Teleport, so I do not need Max C, and I do not need both Imperm, so I'll discard an Imperm, and I'll discard Max C. Now, we can go ahead and go Emergency Teleport, get Geek Boy out on the field. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue onward by summoning Ecclesia, triggering Ecclesia's effect. We will add Dogmatika Calamity to hand. We will activate Dogmatika Calamity. We will special summon Alba Zoa, sending Quintet. Activate Alba Zoa, send those cards to the grave. Activate Dogmatika tricks, and we will send a card from my extra deck to grave. So in this case, I can send any of the cards I mentioned before. If I want to draw a card, I can do that. If I want Dogmatika Calamity back to hand immediately, I can also do that. We have plenty of interruption and anything we need there, but I will want to have things set up for follow-up. So what I will do is I'll go ahead and send Titaniclad. That way at the end of the following, or end of this turn, if they make it that far, it will add Fleur-de-Lis to my hand. Okay, we'll move to battle. Then I will go for attacks. Hedgehog. On Dragon. And with Cross Sheep, and as calculated, exactly. Okay. We're going first, so let's see how we can set up a board with a lot of interaction for their turn. So we're going to go ahead and start with first appearance. We will add from deck to hand. We have a ritual, which is Benten, so I'm going to go ahead and add Fire to hand. I will activate Fire's effect, showing Benten. And then we will search from deck to hand Doombroker. I will activate Libromancer First Appearance's effect to summon Doombroker by sending Benten. Benten has an ability where when it is tributed for a ritual summon or anything, tributed period, it searches from deck to hand a card like Diviner of the Herald. So Diviner of the Herald is a card that is beneficial to my combos, and I am going to trigger it, sending Herald of Arclight to search a ritual spell or a ritual card from deck to hand. So I'm going to go ahead and add Dogmatika Alba Zoa to hand. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and go into Baronne de Fleur. We will also search with Doombroker, Libromancer Intervention, so we have 2 omni-negates. Then I have the ability to go into Maximus by banishing a Fusion Synchro Link Xyz monster from my grave. I do have Herald of Arclight, so it is accessible to me. By doing any of these, you instantly lock yourself out of the extra deck, as if you use Nadir's Servant. If I had enough to continue further, I'd go into IP Masquerena, but I don't, so we'll lean into the Dogmatika line. So we will go ahead and Ecclesia, 2 defense, trigger Ecclesia, and then we will add to hand Dogmatikatrix. So we'll add Dogmatikatrix to hand. Then we will go ahead and activate Maximus's effect, banishing Herald of Arclight to special summon and defense. Then we will activate Nadir's Servant, and we will send Herald of Arclight from extra deck to the grave. Then we will add White Relic of Dogmatika to hand. Herald of Arclight will trigger, adding Dogmatic Calamity to hand. We're going to go ahead and trigger Maximus's effect. Now with Maximus, we get to send 2 monsters from our extra deck to the grave. So in this case, I want to have 2 things. I want to have a draw, so we'll send Garura, and I also want to have access to Fleur de Lis at the end of the turn, so I'll send Titaniclad. Garura will trigger, adding Dogmatic Calamity, her Dogmatikatrix to hand, unfortunately, but that's the way it is sometimes. We will activate Dogmatikatrix, and then we will activate Dogmatic Calamity. So Dogmatic Calamity will summon our Dogmatika Alba Zoa using Quintet from the extra deck. Summon and defense. I will activate Alba Zoa's effect, causing them to pitch. So they sent over half their extra deck to the grave. So that's already a huge amount of cards I don't have to deal with. Now we will activate Dogmatikatrix, and I will send a card from my extra deck to the grave, and I will send Omega to the grave and trigger Omega to shuffle cards back. So here I can either send, say, Arclight back, or I can go ahead and prep for more draws, which is what I'm going to do, and send Garura back. Now we can go ahead and pass on our turn and see how they do. As I said before, Titaniclad will trigger at the end of the turn, and it will add our Fleur de Lis to hand. Now, the one negative here is I did not leave the board open, so ideally you probably want to leave open a spot. So Maximus is a little bit extra gas that necessarily wasn't needed. I just did that to draw an extra card. So if I left that open, it would let me easily summon Fleur de Lis instead. We do not want to trigger Baronne de Fleur because the negate is live, so pass. They are trying to activate Shadal Fusion. We do not want them to do that, so we'll go ahead and negate with intervention. Just like before, this will bounce Doombroker back to hand and special summon a Libromancer from hand or grave. In this case, we're going to special summon Libromancer Fire. The effect resolves, and then Libromancer Fire will trigger, searching for a Libromancer monster from deck to hand. In this case, we might as well grab Geek Boy just so we can fully rebuild if necessary. That was the end of what they had for us. Baronne still hasn't activated, so no need to go into there. We will now go ahead and make Cross Sheep using Ecclesia and using Fire. We will trigger Alba Zoa just to go ahead and mill from their extra deck. They are playing Shadal, so there are some things that interact with Grave, but that one's no concern. Here, they're gonna choose to add Shut-Off Fusion from grave to hands, but they don't get another turn, so it doesn't matter. And then here at this point, I can go ahead and keep extending further. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate Geek Boy. And we're going to show our lovely white Relic of Dogmatika, special summon Geek Boy, trigger Geek Boy's effect. We're gonna add Realized from deck to hand. We're going to activate Realized down below. We're going to activate Maximus's effect, and we're going to send Garura, and we're going to send Omega to grave. So Garura is going to draw us a card instantly, which is another Max C, and then we're going to activate Omega to send our Herald of Arclight back to the extra deck. At this point, we still can continue, but we pretty much have the main amount of cards that we needed on field to go ahead and win the game. So I'm going to go ahead and activate Realized. Looking at Doombroker. And then Cross Sheep would trigger, but I don't need to, so we'll go ahead and say no so far. I'm going to trigger first appearance. And I will special summon Doombroker. Cross Sheep now will trigger. We have Cross Sheep pointing to a Synchro and pointing to a Ritual. So it will trigger 2 effects. 1 being attack boost and 2 being discard 2 cards. So here, Max C is not needed, one of them, so we'll send that. And the other card that's not needed because I already have one is Dogmatika Matrix. So we'll send that. Then you'll see my whole field gets a boost around the board. So here we can continue further. I'm going to Dogmatika Matrix, and I'm going to send from my extra deck to grave Omega. We're going to go ahead and trigger Omega's effect, and we will shuffle Intervention and Omega back. We'll use Doombroker to search the Intervention that I just sent back, set it to the field. And then we'll go ahead and continue to end the game. So Doombroker can attack directly. So we'll do so here. Not that it was super necessary. Maximus will attack the face down. Alba Zoa will attack.
Followed by Baronne for game.
This was a really fun deck to build and test, so I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I do. As always, feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and I'll definitely try to answer them the best I can. Catch you guys next time.